Think everyone loved the Beatles. Think again. These five music legends called them overrated, sloppy, or worse. Get ready for some shocking takes on the Fab Four. Number 5. Lou Reed, the frontman of the Velvet Underground, was never one for mainstream approval. His band was gritty, experimental, and worlds away from the sunny pop melodies of early Beatles hits. Reed once dismissed them outright, saying he found their music garbage compared to the underground sounds he preferred. For Reed, music had to be raw and confrontational, an art form that challenged society, not something designed to make teenagers scream. And in the mid-60s, the Beatles were the definition of mainstream. Of course, as the Beatles evolved with Sgt. Pepper and the White Album, they moved closer to Reed's avant-garde territory. But by then his opinion was set. For Lou Reed, the Beatles were simply too polished, too safe, and not nearly dangerous enough. Number 4. When Quincy Jones, the legendary producer behind Michael Jackson's Thriller and countless jazz and soul records, spoke about the Beatles in a 2018 interview, he didn't hold back. Jones described them as the worst musicians in the world, calling Paul McCartney a poor bassist and Ringo Starr a drummer who couldn't keep time. He even recounted a story where producer George Martin had to bring in another drummer to replace Ringo during a session. Now, was it harsh? Absolutely. But Jones came from the world of jazz, where technical mastery is king. And by that measure, the Beatles' raw, often simple playing might have sounded clumsy to his ear. Interestingly, Jones later apologized for his comments, saying he had been out of line. Still, the sting of those words lives on, showing that even music royalty didn't always bow down to Beatlemania. Number 3. Trent Reznor, the driving force behind 9 Inch Nails, built his reputation on dark, industrial soundscapes, a universe far removed from Beatles-style harmonies. Reznor has admitted he never understood the obsession with the Beatles, saying their music didn't resonate with him at all. While he acknowledged their cultural importance, he didn't see the magic others did. For someone like Reznor, whose career has been defined by exploring pain, alienation, and chaos through music, the Beatles might have seemed too neat and tidy. His rejection wasn't necessarily about hatred, it was about not connecting. And for many artists who grew up after the 60s, the Beatles weren't gods, they were just another band their parents loved. Number 2. Michael Stipe, the enigmatic frontman of R.E.M., is another musician who never fell under the Beatles' spell. In interviews, Stipe admitted that he simply couldn't get into their music. Unlike most of his peers, who often cited the Beatles as life-changing influences, Stipe shrugged them off, saying he didn't see what all the fuss was about. Part of this comes down to personality. Stipe always marched to his own beat, carving out an alternative rock identity that rejected mainstream expectations. To him, the Beatles were part of the old guard, a cultural phenomenon tied to another generation. And in distancing himself from them, Stipe set R.E.M. apart as a band that wasn't going to ride the coattails of 60s nostalgia. Number 1. Julian Casablancas, lead singer of The Strokes, shocked fans when he voiced his dislike of the Beatles. You'd expect someone leading a rock revival band in the early 2000s to worship the ground Lennon and McCartney walked on. But Casablancas didn't see it that way. He claimed he found their music overrated and uninspiring, preferring harder, edgier sounds that spoke to him more directly. This bold stance worked in Casablancas' favor. It helped define the Strokes as rebels, not disciples. In an era where countless bands were borrowing from the 60s, his rejection of the Beatles gave him an identity separate from the towering shadow of rock history. Love him or hate him for it, Casablancas proved that even younger generations of musicians felt no obligation to honor the Fab Four.